So, with a small portion of Ruka's memories returned to her, I think it's time we go investigate that nearby elevator and see if we can't go exploring on the 3rd floor. And in case we needed any help finding the elevator, that well-dressed woman we saw in the previous update was nice enough to draw our attention to it. But it seems this time around, she had something of a new friend in a wheelchair. Also, she did happen to leave behind an item on the ground here. And it's our first insight into this woman in black. Not too much we can garner from this. She seems to have some relationship with someone else that maybe doesn't reciprocate her feelings, but who knows, maybe they're just playing hard to get. Still, this won't be the last time we will be seeing that woman in black, but I guess for right now we might as well head up to that 3rd floor. Though we do run into a roadblock as there is no power currently running to the elevator, but we are given a helpful little note here to tell us how to reboot up the power in the elevator. Seems that there is a breaker box down in the basement that we need to use the number 23 to activate. Also, it did mention that there is a special key needed to get up to the 4th floor, but for right now, we also get a little bit of information about the 1st floor. Seems the appearance of the 1st floor is meant to be more pleasing and natural to the patients, as this is going to be their first interaction with the hospital and the facility overall, so the doctors wanted to make sure it was pleasing and not threatening. Also, it goes into the Aso Museum, how it was renovated after Dr. Aso's visit many years ago. And it mentions this important note about access to certain rooms being prohibited, but we don't really need to worry about that. Oh, there is an item I almost missed on the couch over here. Nothing too amazing, just a few more crystals. But in case you were wondering where the basement is, well, if we go ahead and pull up our map, I was kind of hoping that by highlighting the door it might tell us, but yeah, it's this little door right here. Not too far away. Usually the map is pretty good with filling you in on all pertinent information. So you have to be quick with this vanishing ghost. If you don't happen to run forward, the speed of the woman in black will easily go around the corner and you'll easily miss that ghost. Still, normally I would be wanting to follow the vanishing ghost, but the basement door is right here, so we might as well enter it. Except, as you can guess, there is another roadblock here. We're in need of a key. Well, I'm going to guess that woman in black is going to be who we need to follow to find that key, but we don't want to follow directly after her. Instead, we want to make a long trek around because there is a vanishing ghost to catch if we go through that door, but the angle that it brings us in at is really difficult to catch the vanishing ghost with. And the opportunity to catch this vanishing ghost is particularly small. But before we follow her, there is another new item in the hallway here. Hidden in the masks is some more Type 61 film, which is going to be pretty useful in the future. But even though I have gone down this hall many times before, I've mostly ignored this particular door, if only because it's been locked previously, but since that vanishing ghost has gone through it, it's now mysteriously open. And it has brought us into a very lovely, yet creepy, outdoor courtyard area. You can already see something in the distance there. It's causing our radar to be set off. But first, there are a few items we want to pick up. First one being hidden over here in the bushes. It's another new power lens. The slow lens, as you can probably tell from just the name, will slow down any ghost we happen to hit with it. Still, most of the ghosts in the game are not that fast, so it has very few uses. Overall, though, it is nice to finally get into an exterior area. I think we mostly saw exterior areas in Fatal Frame 2, not so much in the other games, but this one sets a very nice, albeit creepy mood. Also, we find another stone mirror here, in case we just happen to need it in the future. Though we do want to investigate that wheelchair at some point, we don't want to go for it just yet. We want to make sure and get all the items and different things in this area before we do that. Especially since there are some more blue crystals, which we will definitely need in the future. Also, keep in mind the staircase for later. We don't need to worry about it just now. There's just a locked door down there, but it'll definitely come in use later. And there is one other thing waiting in this pool courtyard here. Pretty easy to miss, but in this broken window here is a Hazuki doll. Also, I do apologize. I was too enamored by this lovely water texture, and I fully admit that I very much forgot that I'm supposed to take a picture of that ghost in the wheelchair for a vanishing ghost opportunity, but there does seem to be an item waiting on it. Seems though that the woman in black isn't too happy with us trying to get to be friends with her friend. And I can honestly say this will probably be one of the first and hardest fights of the game, mostly due to just our camera being pretty underpowered. Now already you can see that we are having to fight two ghosts at once, and though they seem very similar, this one, the one that just attacked us, is probably the more difficult one and the one you want to take out first, if only because that ghost has no fatal frame opportunity and no knockback opportunity. She will attack you with complete impertinence, and you want to deal with her as quickly as possible, because you will find out very quickly that not having a knockback makes dealing with the ghost pretty difficult. The good thing is that this does give you plenty of opportunity to practice that dodge maneuver, though you do want to be very careful about not overusing the dodge maneuver, as using it too many times in a row will cause the character you're playing as to fall on the ground, and you'll have to waggle like crazy to get back up. Now there is something of a trick to this fight, and that is in the fact that you want to attack the woman in black before her friend. If you end up defeating the woman in black first, the fight will just end. It'll end pretty quickly. The problem is that you may notice that right now the woman in black is disappearing and reappearing pretty frequently and is not anywhere near as hostile as her friend. Until we take out her friend, the woman in black is pretty difficult to get a clear shot at. Which is why technically you could end the fight quickly, but you would probably end up losing a lot of life and wasting a lot of film if you were trying to use upgraded film in the process. The good news is that since we have upgraded our power and the patterns of the ghost aren't too difficult, it's not a terribly difficult fight. Oh, there I went, fell on the ground. You really do have to waggle like crazy, but yeah, since I have managed to power up my camera just a little bit, the fight is a tiny bit easier. The problem is that I think I ran into a bit of a bug, as I'm fairly certain I defeated the woman in black's friend, but it still seems to be around. I'm not exactly sure if she regenerates health if you wait too long. I'm fairly certain, though, I defeated her. So I died for the first time there, so I did end up using the stone mirror I had, but as you can probably recall, there is one very close by. I should almost be done with her friend. So the radar is freaking out a little bit, and that's usually whenever a ghost is low on health, you'll stop being able to detect them properly, and usually they'll just pop up behind you. Can lead to some tense moments with some of the fights. But yeah, with her friend now out of the way, it's just me and the woman in black, and really the only danger here is just how quickly she will disappear and reappear while you're still in combat, but the Fatal Frame opportunity is pretty simple. In the end, she doesn't really have that much health. But after defeating her, we are left with the item that I assume was on her friend's body. But since I did expend that one stone mirror, we might as well go ahead and pick up the one nearby. As you can probably guess, the item waiting for us is the key to the basement. So we can now safely head there and turn back on the power to the elevator. Though I use the word safely tenuously, for those that might recall or have played Fatal Frame 3, this ghost is very much similar to the tattooed lady from Fatal Frame 3. We cannot fight her, we cannot even touch her, but if she manages to touch us, we instantly die. So for right now, anytime we see this particular ghost, we just want to run away as quickly as possible. Though the good thing is she is very much limited to only certain situations, and usually when we leave certain areas, we will completely evade her. Yeah, let's go ahead and see what is waiting for us down in the basement. The good news is it's nowhere near as frightening as Choshiro's escapades in the basement. This just seems to be something more of a storage area as we find some Type 61 film. But as you can probably guess with all these boxes and nooks and crannies, that there has to be a doll hiding somewhere in here. And, yeah, you would be very correct in that assumption. Seems we ran into the one Hazuki doll that is very much into contortionism. Also, though, we do want to head over down to the left. We do want to make a quick detour down into this room over here. There isn't a large amount of things of interest in here. Just more water, though I assume it's from the pool upstairs. Maybe this is some drainage area for it. But on the boxes here, we do find some sacred water. And there is another Hazuki doll taking a bit of a swim underneath the grating. Yeah, that's all we needed to do in this small room for right now. Yeah, we finally find ourselves in the breaker room. Before we want to mess with the circuit box over there, there are a few quick items to get in here. First one being what appears to be a Spirit Stone radio from Fatal Frame 2 and 3. Though in actuality, it's just a short memo in front of the radio. Nothing too much to gain from it. Though we do want to remember that password 1956, as it will be used to access the third floor ward. So we get some more Type 14 film, and you know, all these boxes seem to tell me that there has to be a Hazuki doll hiding somewhere in here, but it's a bit of a misdirection, as well, there is a doll, but it's definitely not in any of the boxes. Instead, you can use these blue crystals as a means to figure out where it is. If you happen to look up, there is a doll just hanging around. Yeah, that's all the items of interest in here. Now it's time to solve a quick returning puzzle from Chapter 1. Simple enough, all we have to do are flip the switches so that they equal out to 23. And it's just flipping this one down and the one next to it down. Simple enough to solve. You do want to stay on your toes after turning on the power, though. Because there is a super quick vanishing ghost going into that rotting door off to the side. So even though the power is on the 3rd floor, we might as well go ahead and follow that vanishing ghost, just out of sheer curiosity. That leads us into a very bizarre looking passage. Seems as if that vanishing ghost is guarding some very dilapidated looking door. Though our real interest is going to be on that Hazuki doll hiding in the rafters. In addition to the doll, there is also an item waiting on the ground. It's nothing too great, it's just another power lens. Even though it says boost, it's actually the Pierce lens that Choshiro got at the end of his chapter. Yeah, if you're wondering if we can investigate this talisman covered door, nope, it's currently barred by some mysterious force. The usually burned and bloody talismans indicate bad things, and it's probably best we don't investigate through that door. Still, we just have to merrily jaunt back up to the elevator and head up to the 3rd floor. Or not. Seems that guarding man doesn't want to let us go just yet, and even though this may appear to be a new ghost, this was actually one that Choshiro managed to defeat pretty easily, I think, after getting the 2nd phone call in the previous chapter. All in all, not a terribly difficult ghost. Its wind-up with its harpoon attack is really easy to telegraph and hit with the fatal frame. The main difficulty here is just in the narrowness of the hallway and the inability to chain multiple fatal frames. Still, Ghost is pretty easy to defeat with its low health pool. For our trouble, though, we do get a somewhat informative, very old document here about a Morning Shrine. We don't know where the Morning Shrine is, but it seems to be the very epicenter of where this Luna Sedata syndrome seems to come from. It seems merely going to the shrine will cause you to bloom or start to bloom. And it looks like there is a way to get around it, but you have to be purified in the shrine. Which I get a definite inkling that it might be what's through that door down there, but well, as you can probably recall, we have no means to get through it as of right now. Instead, we're just going to continue our journey up to the 3rd floor, totally unencumbered now. Or getting chased again by Fatal Frame 4's version of the Tattooed Lady. Now, while she may seem very slow initially, you do have to realize that she does have a means of teleporting, and teleporting at very bad times. Such as now. She can be pretty unpredictable, and she can be pretty quick to capture you and kill you. But as long as you're a little agile and a little quick on your feet, she's not too difficult early on. Still, though, now nothing stands in our way for that 3rd floor. Yep, nothing stands in our way. Also, we can use this as a means to get back up to floors 2 or back down to floor 1, but in the end, floor 1 and 2 are much more easily accessible via just the stairs. I didn't show it earlier, but there is something of a blockage leading up to the 3rd floor, which is why we never headed up this way earlier. Overall, though, the 3rd floor is very similar to the 1st and 2nd. Though we are pretty limited right now in places we can go due to that wheelchair blocking that hallway. Still, this is the direction we do want to go. Also, as we are on a brand new floor, we get a brand new ghost nurse for this floor. Hopefully she met a much better end than the nurse on the 2nd floor that more than likely got murdered by Ayako. But there are some quick items to grab in here, the first being a hidden away Hazuki doll. And a few items hidden away inside the nurse's station. Now the main problem here is just that there are a few items outside the nurse's station, so it does become a bit confusing with the radar. Here we find some 3rd floor room assignments. We see that Ruka was on this floor in room 308, and that she was the daughter of a very important person on the island. We also see there seems to be a painter that was also on the 3rd floor who made some large financial contributions. We also see that Misaki herself was on the 3rd floor as well. Maybe that's how we became friends with her. And for the last person, we're not given too much information, just that she requires some very special attention. Also, it looks like the intercom system is over here, which means we might be able to unlock the door to the 3rd floor ward. And we already did get the numbered combination for this from that note down in the basement. It was 1956. I'm not exactly sure why they decided to leave that note down in the basement, but I'm sure there has to be some reason. So you do want to be quick. That ghost disappears pretty quickly. Yeah, that covers everything in the nurse's station itself. There are 1 or 2 items waiting for us out on the couches in front of the nurse's station. Some more Type 14 film. And some more red crystals. But, with that, I think we have gotten everything that we need to in here, and I think it's time we go ahead and check out Ruka's room to see if we can't trigger some more memories.
共に訪れる深い記憶のかけら。体のどこかが覚えている。懐かしい匂いにも似た。